Welcome, Glogies. So today's practice is going to be a short and sweet, gentle, no flow class. So lots of low lunges. You may want a blanket to pad your knees if your knees are a little sensitive on your mat. Other than that, a couple of blocks if you have those available, but very minimal props for this one. You don't really need any props whatsoever. So we're going to get started in a wide knee variation of child's pose. So bringing your big toes touching, taking your knees a little bit wider than your hips, and just resting your forehead on your mat. Maybe stretching your arms out in front of you, feeling a little length through your side body, and just landing on your mat today, mentally arriving, showing up for your practice. We'll start by just bringing some awareness to our breath, just kind of noticing the quality, the texture, observing the lengths of your inhales and your exhales. Taking this time to set an intention for your practice today if that's part of your practice. That could be a person, a place, an idea. Whatever your intention is, let it be something that is positive and something meaningful to you. Taking one more big breath in through your nose, really feeling how your rib cage expands. Then just open your mouth, let it go. Start to walk your fingertips over towards the right, getting a little stretch through your left side. So you can make this as intense as you want. You can also just make it a little more restorative, resting your forearms on your mat or the floor. And then your next breath in, start to walk your hands back through center. And then as you exhale, taking your hands over to the left. So getting a little stretch through your right side body. Again, making this feel good. So maybe crawl your hands a little further to the left, deepening that stretch, or just letting your arms settle and rest. Then as you inhale, coming back through center, start to rise up into a tabletop, bringing your wrists right underneath your shoulders, walk your knees in under your hips, and just start with some simple cat-cow. So as you inhale, lift your chin, bring your belly down, tailbone to the sky. Exhale, tucking your chin, round your spine. Inhale, lift, broaden through your collarbones. Exhale, round. And just follow along with your breath for a few rounds. Add in any organic movements. So whatever may feel good to your body, maybe sway your hips, take some hip circles, child's pose. Any kind of tabletop-ish shape that could be a puppy pose. Just kind of move around and see how you're feeling today. Good, and then start to make your way back into your neutral tabletop position. Extend your right leg back behind you just for a quick little calf stretch. So keeping your toes tucked. You can find a little rock forward and back. Stretching your toes, just mobilizing the joints. And then making your way back through center, option to float your right foot here for just a little bit of core integration. Maybe extend your left fingertips forward, balanced table, and just noticing how your core supports your low back. So just knitting the ribs together, trying to keep your hips nice and level. Take one more nice big breath in. Then as you exhale, release your left hand, right knee onto your mat and just sit back into a child's pose, just for a couple of breaths. And making your way back into your tabletop, extend your left leg behind you for that little calf stretch, rocking forward and back over the toes, if that feels good. Making your way back through center, option to float your left foot, option to extend your right arm, balanced table, and then just checking in with your core. So a little bit of engagement, knitting the ribs. And take one more breath in. Stay for the exhale. And then releasing your right hand, left knee back onto your mat, and just sit back into your child's pose. Breathe. And then making your way back up to your tabletop, go ahead and tuck your toes under and lift your hips for downward facing dog. So our first one, pedal your feet out, shake your head no, shake your head yes. Maybe lift and lower your heels a couple of times. And just settle into a comfortable shape. So that will look different for all of us. Depends a lot on our lifestyle outside of our yoga practice. So if this feels like a lot on your hamstrings, you can come up on your toes, bend your knees a little bit. If you really like this stretch for your calves, your hamstrings, you can let your heels start to melt towards your mat. Know that they do not have to touch. It's not really a goal for this posture. Good, and then looking in between your hands, just step your right foot through, coming into a low lunge. So lowering your back knee down, untuck your toes, then walk your hands up onto the top of your right thigh. So interlace your fingers and just pressing your right thigh away from you, deepening the stretch. Think of drawing your tailbone down towards the floor, so making that tiny adjustment through your pelvis is going to kind of integrate the quads and the hip flexors on your left leg. Then maybe taking your arms overhead, you can add in a little back bend, curling your shoulders back. I like to make a little cradle behind my head. Just kind of helps to create a little more opening through the chest. And just letting your head be heavy in your hands. Take one more breath wherever you ended up. And then gently releasing your hands onto your mat. Just shift your hips back, half splits. And then from here, you can turn this into a little flow, coming forward, maybe reaching up, adding the back bend if that feels good. Then as you exhale, half splits. And just moving along with your breath. Then the next time that you land forward, bending your right knee, plant your left hand to the inside of your right foot, reach your right arm up. Easy twist. Option to take your right hand around for a half bind, reaching around for your left hip crease. Or maybe even bring the back of your hand right between your shoulder blades. It's a little different shoulder stretch there. Gazing past your right shoulder. Take one more breath here. As you inhale, reach your right arm back up. Then on your exhale, low lunge. Bringing your right hand down. Tuck your back toes under. Start to straighten through your leg and sweep your right leg up and back. Three-legged dog. So bend your knee here. Open your hip, maybe draw some circles, find a little movement through this hip stretch. Then straightening your right leg, level off your hips. Just bring your right foot down to meet the left. Lower both knees onto your mat, sit back into your child's pose. Couple of breaths. You could flip your palms up towards the sky and kind of scoop out your belly. That's a nice little opening through the upper back. Good, and then if you have your palms turned up, bring your palms back onto your mat, rise up into your tabletop, tuck your toes under, press back to downward facing. Looking in between your hands, stepping your left foot through, low lunge, lowering your back knee down. And then walking your hands on top of the left thigh, interlace your fingers or palms are pressing into your left leg, lengthen through the crown of your head, draw your tailbone towards the floor, just a tiny little adjustment. So you feel the opening through the front of the right hip. Maybe take your arms overhead, maybe add a little back bend if that feels good. Curl your shoulders back so you can make cactus arms, you can make that little cradle behind your head if that feels good to you. And then wherever you ended up making your way back through center, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, releasing your hands down, shift your hips back, half splits. Just straightening your front leg to your flexibility. And then turn that into a little flow, coming forward on your inhale, maybe take a little back bend. Exhale, half splits. Just moving along with your breath. And then the next time that you end up in your low lunge, rebending your left knee, stay there. Plant your right hand, sweep your left arm up. Easy twist. Option is take your left hand around for the half bind. So you could reach around for your right hip crease, or for a little different shoulder stretch, bring the back of your hand between your shoulder blades. Then on your next inhale, sweep your left arm up, and then release, come back into your low lunge. Tuck your back toes under, straighten through your right leg, bring your left leg up and back, three-legged dog, bend your knee, open your hips, stretch it out, draw some circles if that feels good. And then bringing your left foot to meet the right, downward facing dog. Come up on your tippy toes, lower your knees onto your mat, sit back into a child's pose. And then this time, crawl your fingertips towards the top of your mat so that just your fingertips are touching. You have little tents underneath your hands, and then lift your chest just halfway. Thread your right arm underneath, and then you can rest your forehead onto your mat, or if that feels claustrophobic, you can bend your left elbow and rest your forehead on your forearm as a little pillow. And then coming up out of that, releasing your right arm, reaching your right fingertips forward, thread your left arm underneath, resting your forehead on your mat or making a little pillow. And then gently releasing your left arm, slowly making your way back up to your tabletop. And then we'll move into half pigeon. So we'll get into it from a tabletop position. So taking your right knee just behind your right wrist, and then your foot towards the left edge of your mat. Tuck your back toes under and just slide your back knee towards the back of your mat. Bring your fingertips on either side of your hips, lengthen your spine. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, maybe walk your hands forward. You can come to your forearms. You could rest your forehead on your forearms and just settle into this nice passive hip opener. And if pigeon is miserable for your hip or your knee, you can always take a supine version coming onto your back. You would cross your right ankle over your left thigh, and then maybe just stay here, or bringing your left knee in towards your chest, interlace your fingers behind your left knee, and just gently bring your left knee towards your chest. So that's also a great option if pigeon is just a little too much. So if you made it down on your forearms, start to make your way back up onto your hands. Tuck your back toes under, scoot your knee forward so that you can extend your right leg back. And then just come into an easy modified side plank. So planting your right heel, reach your right arm up, so just opening the hips. And then releasing your right hand, right knee back onto your mat through tabletop. And we'll just switch sides. So taking your left knee behind your left wrist and just bringing your foot towards the right edge of your mat. Tuck your back toes under, slide your knee back, and then come up to your fingertips, lengthen your spine, take a breath in. And then as you exhale, settle in, forearms, resting your head. Just go where you need to go. Know that the option to come into the supine version on your back is available to you on this side. So we'll start to make our way out of this, bringing your hands back underneath your shoulders, tuck your back toes under, scoot your knee forward, extend your left leg back, moving into that easy modified side plank. So planting your left heel, reaching your left arm up, opening the hip, and then releasing your left hand, left knee onto your mat. And just find some cat-cows, kind of resetting. Just a couple of breaths. And then moving back through a neutral tabletop, we'll come into a seated position, so swinging your legs around. Bring your feet together, flex your ankles. Reaching your arms overhead, take a big breath in. As you exhale, forward fold. Then releasing your hands, coming back up through center. Reach your arms out in front of you, sit up super, super tall. Slowly roll back one bone at a time. Coming all the way down. Once you get there, take your arms overhead into a nice big full body stretch. Draw both knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug, so reach around for opposite elbows, forearms, wrists, whatever you can get. Lay your head on your mat, gently rock side to side if that feels good. Little back massage. Coming back through center, releasing your feet back onto your mat. Place both hands next to your hips. We'll move into bridge. So pressing your feet, pressing your hands into your mat. Lifting your hips up towards the sky. Try to keep your weight evenly distributed across your feet. And then you can see if you can interlace your fingers behind your back. Roll up onto one shoulder and then the other. A little chest expansion. Stretching your biceps, your shoulders, your chest. Your fingers are interlaced. Place your palms flat. Gently lower down one bone at a time. Coming all the way onto your mat, and just take your knees side to side, releasing any tension in your lower back. And then come back through center. Bring both knees into your chest. Keeping your knees in towards your chest, take your arms out to the sides, palms facing up, and then just bend your elbows. So you have cactus arms, wiggle your shoulder blades underneath your body, and then roll over onto your right hip. Let your knees fall all the way to the floor, gazing over your left shoulder. Easy twist. Releasing your twist, coming back through center. Other side, roll over to your left hip, letting your knees fall all the way to the floor. Gazing past your right shoulder. Releasing your twist, making your way back through center, and then we'll move into a supine butterfly. Soles of your feet together, let your knees just open out to the sides. Take the heels of your hands and place them to your hip crease, and just gently press your hips away, lengthening through the low back, releasing any tension or tightness. Then you can place your hands next to your hips, palms facing up. Take one more nice big breath in, fill up your lungs. Slow breath out. Final Shavasana. So making your way into a comfortable position. Find a spot where you can be still. Give yourself a couple of moments. You set an intention for your practice. You could revisit that intention. If you don't remember remember it, or if it's no longer relevant, take this opportunity to set a new intention. Something you can take with you off your yoga mat into the world. Gently bringing some awareness back to your breath, back to your body. Making little tiny movements with your fingers and your toes. Circling your wrists and your ankles in one direction and then the other. If it feels good to you, take your arms overhead. Nice big stretch, deep breath in. Then as you exhale, making your way over to your favorite side. Using your top hand to support you, slowly press yourself up into a comfortable seated position, gathering your hands together at your heart. Thank you so very much for showing up, for spending some time with your practice. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.